So is the Xion CyberX worth the hype? Woo! That's coming right up. Hey everyone, my name is Rick Cordero. Welcome to RunPlayBack, where we help you with EV tech tips to lead a more efficient and affordable lifestyle. Let's be creative and save money at the same time. Today we're checking out the highly anticipated Xion CyberX electric motorbike. The Xion CyberX first began as an Indiegogo project and racked up over $1 million in pre-sales. After a few different iterations that were teased on social media, the final CyberX production bike has begun shipping to early adopters. And in a growing landscape of expensive, high-powered e-bikes, the CyberX looks like nothing else on the market, and your mileage will vary on if the looks matches your futuristic dreams or nightmares. But one thing is for sure, the CyberX doesn't shy away from the cyberpunk aesthetic, and doubling down on the bold look is kind of admirable. In this video, we'll discuss the features and let you know whether the Xion CyberX was worth the wait. And full disclosure, the CyberX e-bike in this video is owned by a friend who purchased it with their own money. We haven't received any cash or other forms of compensation in exchange for this video, and no one has had any approval or conditions on the contents of this video before it was released. So let's get to it. With the Onyx RCR and Sur-Ron currently dominating the high-powered e-bike space, how can other bikes stand out when the specs are all evenly matched? Well, as someone who owns both an Onyx and a Sur-Ron, the design would probably be the first thing I'd be interested in. This is precisely why the Xion CyberX piqued my interest, because it looks like a combination of a high-end gaming PC, a dirt bike, and a church kneeler. I'd like to imagine that Xion took a cue from Tesla's Cybertruck and announced the CyberX, knowing the controversy it would attract. The sharp contours, the Dorito chip shape, and the absurdly long seat were brought up constantly on social media. In terms of e-bike culture, it sharply divided its audience into two distinct groups. Those who felt that the CyberX violated every preconceived notion that they had about high-powered e-bikes, and those who welcomed the polarizing design not only with open arms, but with open wallets. Despite the jokes, Xion quietly pushed forward with changes that increased performance and provided customization options that no other e-bike company has attempted before. And if you really want to dig deep into the cyberpunk subgenre, you can imagine the CyberX would appeal to classic cyberpunk characters in fiction who are portrayed as marginalized, alienated loners. If that sounds appealing, then the Xion CyberX is one of the most unique e-bikes in its class. So from full pre-order payment to delivery, it took quite a while. But if Xion has been building up inventory, we'll probably see even faster shipping times. And while a base model without the trimmings can cost about $6,000, a fully loaded CyberX is close to $8,000. That's a premium price, even for the audience of high-powered e-bike enthusiasts who typically don't flinch at anything under $5,000. But you do get what you pay for. You have a choice of 4 sizes for the frame, for heights from 4'11" all the way up to 6'9". That alone makes this bike accessible to the widest variety of body types out there. You also get a range of frame colors, side panel colors, and built-in side panel LEDs if you want that super futuristic aesthetic. The stock controller is a BAC 2000, but you can also choose the 4000 or 8000 for maximum power. The stock battery is 72 volts and 32 amp hours, and you can choose up to 50 amp hours for maximum range. Other options include the charger, headlight, and fender. The reality is that most people who are even considering buying the CyberX have already had a taste of e-bikes in either a lower or similar class. They also probably have the disposable income to afford a bike like this. For beginners and everyone else, the Xion CyberX might be slightly out of their league in terms of budget and practicality. So before we get to the specs, let's do a walkthrough with our friend Dan. We have the Xion CyberX. Our friend Dan has the first one in New York. What an amazing coincidence that I'm in town and he just got the bike. I love it. Let's talk about the tire size.
Well, both sets are 17-inch wheels.
Dual sport?
Yep, the dual sport tires.
What are the options? You could get off-road.
The initial options were road tires, and then you could upgrade to the hybrid tires. They do have off-road option, but that's kind of like further out.
Now these brakes, from what I could see, are dual, like moto hydraulic brakes.
You could see like the big caliper, you could see the big hydraulic hose, right, with the banjo bolts into the brake handles, with reservoirs.
The bike weighs what, 200 pounds? Yeah, so you want that stopping power. This headlight is nice.
Yeah, this is the standard option.
This is standard option.
This is standard, right. The light bar option is an upgrade.
So I like this, you know, this sort of like vortex looking blue light.
This is headlight mode.
Headlight mode, yep. So you get the indicators going white, and then high beam, you get the center, yeah. And I do like this mirrored number plate.
This was actually blank before. They added this like kind of like as a feeler out there.
Right.
And everyone was like, oh, I love that.
Honestly, number plates and customizing number plates is such a small detail that is like a cheap thing that you can always add. But it's nice when a company like understands that we want to see something cool right here, especially when it's like hiding all this wiring. This looks like a Bluetooth speaker.
Yep, exactly it is. It's actually not just a standard Bluetooth speaker, but it has these controls here. You know, play, you know, pick up, etc., and volume, obviously. But and it's also a USB port out if you want to plug in something.
So you don't actually have to control it through your phone and like change the volume or anything like that. You could do it right from here. This is sort of the standard display that comes with the BAC 4000, 8000.
Yeah, it's the 750C.
750C. And then this is the obviously the control for that. Xion branded phone holder. Awesome that they thought about this stuff.
Most bikes don't even come with a phone holder.
No.
Everyone gets a phone holder.
Yeah, they usually get this one.
Right. Yeah.
You have this switch right here.
That controls the LEDs on the side of the vehicle.
So this controls like the different modes. You could do slow or fast, right? And this is like switching almost like a spectrum, right? Yep. It's like rotating through a spectrum of color.
Like red, green, blue, etc.
What are these forks? They remind me of the EBR forks that Onyx uses. We have two sets of controls, right? We have our indicators left and right. High beam, horn, hazard.
Right, light controls. Yeah. And this is another horn button. So both of these are horn buttons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Apparently.
So you can control the horn from your left or right hand. Yeah. And you get a domino throttle stock. A lot of people sometimes switch to the domino because it just has faster reaction times. So this is the ignition. And we don't know exactly what motor brand this is. It might be a QS. It's hidden in this enclosure over here, which seems to be made out of like steel.
Like stamped steel, yeah.
Yep. Rear shock is over here. And from what I understand, there's another set of holes over here to like shift it forward. I think for height reasons or something like that, would bring it up just a little bit. This swing arm is really interesting to me. Looks like a heavy duty steel swing arm, something I've never seen before, you know, the way it's designed. You have your pegs for passengers. It's sort of like one piece, like a torque arm and it's a long swing arm.
Goes straight through.
I think the suspension being in the center over here is a nice detail. It's almost like a mix of like an Onyx and a Xion. Same thing in the back, dual sport tires, moto grade hydraulic brakes, and then we have this kickstand, which is an adjustable kickstand. And then you have pedals over here.
Comes with the pedal stand because it's advertised as a e-bike.
Or electric moped. So let's open this up and see what's inside.
Latch here.
Latch, yep. And that.
You open it up.
It does come with a VIN number.
So if you wanted to register it, you can, you know, talk to your state DMV and then get it licensed and insured, obviously.
Here is the battery, 50 amp hour, 72 volts. Yeah. So that's a ton of range, marketed as about 100 miles, depending on weight, terrain, that kind of thing. The BAC 4000.
Which is an upgrade. The standard is 2000.
Standard is BAC 2000.
Right.
Got the 4000, and then the highest grade is the 8000. So yeah, it fits right in this compartment. I like that it's super accessible. It's not really, you know, hidden or cramped into anything, kind of like how the Xion is, where it's like mushed together inside of the frame. Just some good ventilation with air coming from the bottom, and then room for any other things you want to install, any electronics, additional lights, that kind of thing. And then obviously we have this long ass seat over here. This is the thing that was like the controversial design aspect. You know, now that I kind of see it, obviously having a variety of sitting positions based on your body type seems logical. They
have options where you could upgrade the seat, or you could provide your own seat and they'll install it for you prior to shipping.
Yeah, you could easily bring this to like Saul's Upholstery or whatever and like get something super custom. It's so long, you could like do 3 patterns. You could do like, you know, piping, like, yeah, sky's the limit.
And it's suitable for many heights, right? If you're shorter, you probably sit over here, right? So you can reach the pedals easier. But if you're taller, you can just sit back here and your legs will have plenty of room.
Now, before we get into our first ride, let's go over the specs. The Xion CyberX is a 15,000 peak watt e-bike with a top speed of over 50 miles per hour. This model is powered by a 72 volt, 50 amp hour battery. It has front and rear suspension, hydraulic disc brakes, a full twist domino throttle, 17-inch wheels, an integrated headlight, taillight, indicators, and an LED display. It also features a Bluetooth speaker and a seat that's long enough to fit 2 people. So now that we've covered the specs, let's take it out for a ride. All right, this is a big boy. I do my stretches. So we'll turn this on. Yeah, this is high. Hello. Yeah, you want to go easy on it. All right, so here we go. Okay. Yeah. Wow, okay. I like that. Definitely has some torque in it. This thing definitely wants to go. It definitely wants to go. I don't know if this parking lot is doing it justice. This has the pickup of an electric moped, very similar to an Onyx, you know? The suspension feels good. I'm going over these speed bumps. You know, it is loud, and I do hear some rattling. This feels, yeah, I like it. Let me try, do one more pass. This parking lot is not big enough for what this wants to do. Yeah, first impressions, yeah, it's super fun. You know, I brought it up to level 4, and as soon as like it started to get going, we ran out of room or hit a speed bump. But yeah, overall suspension really nice, very comfortable, at least on like street roads. I definitely heard some things maybe shifting or rattling. I wasn't sure. I think as far as like the cornering and like the handling, it reminds me of the Onyx, but it's also, I think the center of gravity is obviously much more different because the motor is not in the rear, right? So that your center of gravity is coming down right under the cranks. You feel like you can lean a little bit more than the Onyx. It's an interesting hybrid. It doesn't feel like anything I've ever rode before. And it really feels like something that belongs on the streets, or at least roads that are, you know, 30 to 40 miles per hour. This thing would keep up, and you'd feel seen, maybe because I'm not used to being this high on a bike, or having a bike that looks like this, but you'll definitely be seen. The one thing I would probably change is maybe the crank, the pedal crank is a little bit long, and I think it scraped just slightly when I like made a turn. You know, after that I just sort of like kept it level. I think maybe pegs and getting this registered as an electric moped is the way to go. You know, like with pegs I like to kick my leg out, you know, so I could get some balance. You know, it's a little tricky to do that with the traditional pedals. First impressions, really exciting ride. In terms of looks, the frame is a blend of steel and 410 chromoly steel in the shape of a triangle. The sharp lines is what gives the CyberX a militaristic feel. And while it looks unusual at first glance, it kind of makes practical sense as the long flat seat gives the rider a wide variety of positions that work best for their comfort level. The swing arm appears to be made from heavy-duty steel, and the 15,000 watt mid-drive motor is hidden inside of a metal enclosure. Almost all motors are weather resistant, so we're not quite sure why Xion did that other than wanting to be discreet about what motor they're using. The long padded seat is fine and functional, but it will be interesting to see how people modify it. On first glance, the CyberX looks like a futuristic motorcycle and will definitely draw lots of attention, especially with its colorful LED lighting. This is a ride that should remain on the streets and not the bike trails. Range is marketed to reach up to 100 miles, depending on rider weight, terrain, assist mode, and obviously battery size. So now let's take the Xion CyberX out on the streets. Here we go. We're gonna do the performance test with the Xion CyberX, and off we go. And here we go. Here we go. Level 3. Wow. Woo! My God. So much power. A lot of power.
Man, this thing rips. Holy cow. All right, so as far as the torque, when you bump up the power levels, you definitely get that torque. You get that, you know, high speed, and it's really fast. As you know, torque is the rotational force of the motor that's transferred to the wheel. So with the mid-drive, you get that torque boost. I believe there's, you know, primary belt, secondary belt. They're both chains, and you know, that, you know, it's louder, obviously, but you definitely get that punch, like right off the bat. And that's very similar to the Xion. Level 4 is pretty strong. Definitely get me up to speed real quick. 40 miles per hour on the speedometer. Okay, maximum power. And that, woo, 60 miles per hour! Whoa! 60 miles per hour in I don't know how many seconds that was. But that was pretty intense. We could do a top speed right here. All right, we found a little area here to just pop around. So in terms of you know, the center of gravity and the handling, I like it. I do feel really high on the bike. It feels appropriate for, you know, how I'm doing these turns and how I'm leaning. I feel comfortable like leaning like this, you know, and just sort of like push steering. I feel comfortable doing that. Woo, man, that has so much power. I don't feel the heaviness of the bike, you know, other than when I stop. You know, obviously when I stop, you know, I can't flat foot it. So I do sense that the bike is 200 pounds, you know, when I have one foot on the ground. As far as the wheel size and the tires, these dual sports feel good for this kind of area. You know, it's kind of uneven terrain, not always smooth roads. So the dual sport feels good for this. 17s feel right. The hydraulic brakes, you know, I think they could be just maybe a little bit stronger. I think that just has to be calibrated a little bit more. And as far as the suspension goes, the fork is fine. Not any different than I think maybe the EBR fork feels with the Onyx, right? The rear suspension isn't so bad. Doesn't feel feels pretty good. It's a bike that wants to go past 40 miles per hour, like, and just kind of holding 35 to 45. That's what this feels like. And with the frame, you know, the steel frame, the steel parts, it feels like nothing would necessarily rattle off or wear down, as opposed to something like a Xion going, you know, 40 miles per hour for an extended amount of time would introduce a lot of wear to the parts. You know, nothing crazy. I wouldn't take it on the highway. Not something you want to take on a bike trail. Street riding as an electric moped with just a little bit more power and just a little more excitement. I think that's where the CyberX fits in. Now let's do a top speed test. All right, here we go. "45, 44. I feel like I ran out of road there. We'll try it again. I think if I kept going, I think I would have went past 50. Woo! Pretty much 50 miles per hour on level 5. About 50 miles per hour. I think I ran out of road there. but that seems accurate. .49 miles per hour. About 50 if I kept going. I ran out of room.
That's right, that's advertised.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what a 72 volt BAC 4000 can do.
Unless you gear it.
Unless you gear it. Yeah.
So here's what we like about the Xion CyberX. The design makes you feel like you're an extra in Blade Runner or Tron. Now your mileage will vary on how much attention you prefer to draw while riding. However, if you're even considering the CyberX, chances are you really like the attention. It's an interesting combination of some of the best parts currently available for high-powered e-bikes in a futuristic exterior. But is Xion Bikes a reputable company? There isn't a ton of information available on Xion, but the founder and CEO, Ali Horuz, has experience in the light electric vehicle industry by creating one of the largest pedicab companies in the nation. And like Onyx or Rad Power, they got their start through crowdfunding and have managed to release a full retail product. But like every industry, startups can succeed or fail very quickly based on market demand. We do like how Xion offers the main parts on their site a la carte. The motor, domino throttle, and various flavors of the ASI controllers are ready for purchase without actually having to own a CyberX. In fact, there's many Surons out in the wild that are running Xion ASI controllers, and that sort of open source way of thinking is really where the future of e-bike technology is headed. So who is this bike exactly for? Tech bros with high salaries, electric dirt bike riders, urban commuters, cyberpunk cosplayers? We'd say it's aimed at all of those groups. And like other high-powered e-bikes, if you have no interest in DIY, this may not be the bike for you. You'll still need some basic wrenching skills to keep up the maintenance. But if the popularity of the CyberX continues to grow, we'll see modding communities pop up to offer diagnostic tips. So if you're looking for an electric motorbike that looks like nothing else in its class, has very deep customization options, and has tons of power and range, the CyberX fits the bill. However, if you're on a budget, prefer to be low-key, or want a more traditional looking e-bike, it might be worth looking elsewhere. If you want to dive into more EV tech tips, click the links on the side and remember to like and subscribe so we can help you find tech deals that fit your lifestyle. We'll see you guys in the next video.